What is up, crypto fam? It is Crux here with Crux of Crypto. I'm rocking the Chainlink hat. I'm rocking the Chainlink gear. I can't get that down, but we're having a green day. And if you have some Chainlink, if you have some exposure to Bitcoin or any other really crypto, then you're in a good point. So go ahead and smash those likes. Share this out with somebody that doesn't know too much about crypto, because I might be taking a little bit easy on this live stream, kind of breaking down a couple things for you guys, because the market sentiment right now is wild. A lot of people have a lot of questions going on, and I'm here to kind of ease what's going on. So I see MP Better Life. He said he is listening, but he's driving. So shout out to all the supporters. Even when you're driving, just make sure you keep your both hands on the wheels. And then we got Angel in the house. Angel, one of my biggest supporters, saying, hey, Crux and fam. So overall, I'm very happy today. It's not very often, at least in the past 2 to 3 months, that I've whipped out the green lights for you guys, and especially not the Chainlink hat. I'm just super ecstatic over what we finally got adopted. We finally are here with ETF. So I'll talk a little bit about what's happening with Chainlink and how much they're actually getting from this ETF exposure, who's buying. And then I got a couple gem hunters who asked me to look into a couple projects for them. So it's going to be Aerodrome, Sui, and then Base. So if you have one of those tokens, well, Base hasn't launched yet, but I'll go into that ecosystem, Aerodrome in particular. Make sure you pay attention, because about midway through the stream, I'll do those, and then I'll go through a couple different individual picks that I think are going to do very well over the next couple months, as long as we're still in a bull market. So there's a poll going on right now. The poll says, are we in a relief rally, or are we full sending? Is the bull market back on? And that's the question of not only the day, but the question of the year. Is 2025 going to be the bull market peak this cycle? And right now we have a 78% of you guys are saying nope, it's a relief rally. So you guys know I'm still about 60% probable that we're in a bear market. So don't go sell your bags at all. I haven't sold anything at all, and I'm here to help bring that conviction back. Plan. That's all you can do, is hope for the best, but you can plan for the worst. So let's go ahead and I see a lot more chat going on. So welcome in everybody, and some of those gem hunters. Daniel, I'll make sure I get your project here shortly. So let's go ahead and jump into the current state of the markets. All right. Crypto is up 6.3% today. That's one of the biggest days, probably the second biggest day this entire year. Now, it's very important to note, whenever Bitcoin has, or just crypto in general, has big days, usually it comes after what we call a relief period. So usually when it falls very hard, then we have a good relief bounce, and then vice versa. We go up very fast, we hit a ceiling, and then we come back down. So this was, I'm not going to say this is like, this came out of nowhere. Crypto has been getting beat up the past couple months, and a lot of people are, still questioning what's going on with my bags. Why is my portfolio down in these things? And you're not alone. I'm here to kind of help alleviate those things. But one thing that I always point out is what is the Bitcoin dominance? That's huge. This is telling you when alt season is happening, if alt season is going to happen. And it's about 57.4%, which is fairly high as of recently. So we've seen altcoins slow. I mean, today they're pumping fairly well, but they're still bleeding out towards Bitcoin really ever since that October event. So what I'm looking for as an altcoin holder is I need this altcoin dominance to continue going down before alt season here. So I'm not thinking this is the start of an alt season. So, if you feel like this is alt season, not really to burst your bubble, but it's not. Hopefully we could see one eventually soon, though. All right, let's go ahead and look at a couple trending cryptocurrencies. I see Pudgy Penguins there staring at 25% gain today. Full disclosure, I hold no Pudgy Penguin, but kind of beating myself in the butt. That's a pretty solid project. I mean, it just dropped outside the top 100. If you're into NFTs or games, that's a go-to. And they're going mainstream. They have a treasury, a NASDAQ listed company is helping buy some of their tokens, and it's pretty cool. Monad. So Monad's up 25%. This is a very new project. I covered it briefly on my last live stream. I think it was the day that it launched. I told people to stay away from it, mainly because of the tokenomics. So 50% of the tokenomics controlled by Monad goes to the team, the investors, and early insiders. And if you know anything about tokenomics, and that's what I study, that is horrible. So point number 2, I always ask, what does this blockchain bring that's different? So this is essentially a copy and a paste of most layer ones out there, which are trying to be EVM compatible and just essentially live off Ethereum. So I can't tell you too much difference in what Monad brings to the table, and that is a red flag in crypto. I need something new. So Monad, you're not getting any Crux's bags, and we're going to go ahead and skip you for the trending cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, that's trending today because it is the king of all crypto. This is what you want most of your bag in, or you want to be accumulating more of this over time, and that's the goal here in crypto. So we got Zcash. They are bucking the trend. We have a bullish day, but Zcash is down 6.6%. Another project I told you guys I would not get exposure to because this whole privacy narrative, I think, is just something that was manipulated. And as a bearish market in October going into November, we didn't have very great price action. Well, mainly November. We didn't have very great price action. But I think a lot of the whales, they wanted something to pump. So they chose some narrative that a lot of the people had exposure to from 2 cycles ago. And they pumped their bags to, try to use you as exit liquidity. And that's kind of how these things flow. So this whole privacy narrative of ZK proofs, like, it's a cool technology, but all these other cryptocurrencies have already adopted it. So it's not like it stands out. So that's fair. Zcash, you are not getting any of my bags either. Ethereum, you are getting Crux's bags. I have a lot of news today to cover for Ethereum. I'm very bullish on this project overall. A lot of people are running away from crypto, or Ethereum in general, because it has, it technically put in a new all-time high this cycle, but Bitcoin did an 8x from its low all the way to its cycle high, 15.5 to 126K, and the Bitcoin dropped just under $1,000 last bear market and got up to about 5K, just under 5K this cycle. So only did the 5x. So I held a riskier asset and I still didn't get the returns. A lot of people are beating themselves in the butt. I always talk about the L2 effect and what fragmentation is. So fragmentation has been eating away at Ethereum. This means all the scaling solutions and all of the ecosystem is competing amongst itself. But there's a hard fork, which I'm going to be talking about here shortly, that is going to help alleviate a lot of that pressure, which is why I'm very bullish on Ethereum. Solana, I think this one's mainly pumping because of the price action. Solana and Sui, you got to check out this price action. If you hold either Solana or Sui, throw an S in chat. So we're looking at 11.6% in the past 24 hours on Solana, which has basically been the king of last bull market and this bull market. So I'm very bullish overall on Solana. I think that has definitely separated itself from really just about anything else. You have like XRP, Ethereum, and then Bitcoin. Those are gonna be like I don't see anything happen to those 4 cryptos. Everything else is fair play still. Chainlink, I don't see much happening to that. But Solana, Sui, 2 that I am holding. Jupiter, that's pumping because Solana is pumping. Fair enough. Hedera. So Hedera is going to be pumping because of a article that I'm about to cover right after this, which is Vanguard. So if you know anything about Vanguard, you're talking about the second biggest company, or institution rather, in the world in terms of assets under management, just behind BlackRock. So Vanguard. A lot of these cryptos are pumping because of them, and XRP is another. So XRP, Chainlink, Aster. I'll cover a little bit of Aster news here shortly. Hyperliquid's going to be pumping because of on-chain trading volume up there with Aster as well. SPX 6900. Shout out to my, a top 3 favorite meme community in all of crypto. I love what SPX is doing out there. It's not here trying to create the next revolutionary technology, but I appreciate the community and what they're doing for crypto. They're onboarding a lot of people, and do not fade memes because it's important. You need to onboard people into an asset class for an asset class to continue to go higher. And then lastly, I don't even know if I should say Fartcoin. This, I don't really know why this token's pumping. I'm not going to look into it, but if it's pumping, on Thursday and it's still here on the trending cryptos, I'll go ahead and cover it. Why not? All right. So that was the trending cryptos. Again, if you have Solana or Sui, put the S's in chat. Let's go ahead and read a couple questions and we'll jump into the news. All right. So I got about 15 votes in there. Nice. Daniel's super happy about Link. MP as well. What up, MP? MP, make sure you have both your hands on the wheels. Don't be paying attention too much. Just listen to the stream. You don't want to be driving crazy out there. All right. So my biggest bag is Link behind Bitcoin. That's fair. I would consider Link a low risk play in terms of cryptos. Almost all cryptocurrencies are essentially have risk to them, but in terms of relativity, Chainlink is definitely a less risky crypto. Daniel's asking, is DOT dead? I personally don't hold any DOT. I think the interoperability narrative it was built off of is kind of gone wayside. And then honestly, a lot of what they tried to do into crypto just got outdated. So parachains, not effective, not efficient. And that is why Crux no longer holds his DOT. But fun fact, I did buy DOT like September, whatever of 2020, whenever it launched at like $4. And I made a killing last bull market off that project. So I will always have a soft space in my heart for Polkadot. All right, early October also pumped, then dumped. MP, I mean, sometimes it does rhyme. These crypto markets, you can find trends in them. So I got some pudgy, says Daniel. So Daniel's smarter than Crux. Go follow what he's doing because I did not load my bags on pudgy and I'm kicking myself in the butt. All right, Aaron, good afternoon, everyone. Mamo is doing well, says Angel. Yeah, I'm still holding all of my Mamo. So as long as base continues to do well, I think there's going to be a turnaround for that project in particular. I think AI agents are the future. And I think, especially within this next decade, I think AI agents are going to be very helpful, not only for crypto, but for humankind, or mankind, rather. It's just, with AI kind of merging into everything we know in society, it's probably the most effective way is AI agents. So your phones will be equipped with them. Everything you use will be equipped with them, and blockchain is no different. Sup, my guy, says Brandon. What up, Wrong Again? See, Wrong Again has both S's. He knows what he's doing. Follow Wrong Again. Also, shout out Wrong Again for the newsletters. If you guys don't know about the newsletters, first of all, they're free. They're in our Discord. You can check out the link in the description below. And Wrong Again has been absolutely crushing it for many months. At this point, it's about half a year that he's been writing these newsletters. And they cover, they're weekly newsletters. So they cover what the week ahead. They cover a little bit of TA. He's good with the charts. So definitely shout out Wrong Again for supporting the gang out here. Love what you do, brother. Thank you. Brandon, sup, my guy? We got some OGs in chat. I see you, Mike. Oh boy, the Chainlink fit. Look, see, I could have went with just the hat. I could have went with just the shirt, but I'm like, I have to double it up. It is a green day, and I'm super happy about it. We're blessed today. So now, if you're like me, not to switch the narrative, but you might want to take a little bit of profits whenever stuff is pumping, if you feel like the top is not in. And still, 82% of you guys still think the top or the bottom is not in. So y'all are saying this is a relief rally, and then only 18% of you are sending or are doing a full send, which is very different. It's very interesting because most crypto communities right now would probably be opposite. So it's very interesting when you see how a creator thinks. Oftentimes, the community is going to think very similar. So I'm just here to provide entertainment, not financial advice, but I give a different take than a lot of other people do. I always give my personal opinion, and I don't speak on behalf of anybody else. So I think that's what's awesome about our community with Taylor, with T-Shroom. You have Tim, Smay. We have a lot of people like Wrong Again, Rufio, tons of people in Discord. Shout out Trade Intuition in chat. But you get all these different perspectives, and that's what you need to do in crypto. Do not come in here, listen to one person like an Alex Becker, buy 50 of his different like gems, and then get schwacked. You're going to regret it. So, put Crux in there for fundamentals, put Tim in there for the technicals, put Trade Intuition in there for the technicals. Wrong Again, you're killing it with the charts. Follow that guy. Figure out what people are good at and add them to your bag, and that's how you win in crypto. So if I helped you at all in any of that segment, make sure you subscribe, and also set up the alerts, because I've been dropping a lot of heat lately, and I'll talk about a couple videos that I'm dropping here this week. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump into the news because I could probably talk forever, and you guys probably want to actually learn a little bit. So Vanguard, this is the story of the day. Finally, welcome to the club. The 5 largest institutions in the world right now provide access to crypto ETFs. This is a very big story, y'all. So I still consider ETFs retail driven because the only way Vanguard or the only way BlackRock or State Street, etc., can buy crypto is for their clients on behalf of the clients. Why would a client buy an ETF? It's because of the security behind it, right? If I have fiat currency and I want exposure to Bitcoin's price action, you know, I can go out and buy the native asset Bitcoin, store it in my hard wallet, and it's safe, supposedly. If somebody finds that seed phrase, all this is gone and there's no insurance. With an ETF, you can buy the ETF. If something happens, per se, you have insurance that's backing it. SIPC, I think it's SIPC insurance. I'm a little dyslexic, but there's insurance regardless on what securities are. So that's the beautiful part about these things. Now, to be fair, not your keys, not your crypto. So I always going to have to bring that up. We're going to have some OGs that are being like, Crux, what are you talking about? Don't tell people to go buy these ETFs. You know, in this day and age, you know, we're in decade number 2 of cryptocurrencies. In decade 1, I would have told you, not your keys, not your crypto. Always keep everything in a cold wallet. In era or decade number 2, I'm saying diversify. Keep some of your, or most of your crypto in a cold wallet. Keep some of it on exchanges. I know that sounds kind of weird, you know, whether you're trading it, like leverage trading, stuff like that. Multiple stuff. Always spread your stuff out, because if somebody, like I just saw some guy get hit with a $3 million XRP hack on his hardware wallet. Like this asset class is unforgiving. You do not want to make a mistake. So always diversify not only your holdings, your crypto, like a Chainlink, an XRP, Bitcoin, but also how you're storing it, whether it's a ledger, a Trezor, or, you know, on crypto.com. Just keep it everywhere, but also make sure you're organized if you do that. Okay. And then further up on the story, let's go ahead and jump here. We got Vanguard, who is allowing you to get exposure to Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, HBAR, and Link. So shout out Tim for helping me break that one down. Vanguard, y'all, second biggest institution in the world, giving us exposure to crypto. This is a massive story. And again, it completes the top 5. This was, you know, as I covered this news very often, crypto news in particular, I would always have to leave out Vanguard. I would say the biggest institutions in the world minus Vanguard, because BlackRock, they were essentially the first. Grayscale, they had their trust and whatnot. Eventually, with IBIT and these ETFs, BlackRock, they led it. Then you had the State Streets. I think JP Morgan and Fidelity's fairly new as well. And then Vanguard, you joined to make the top 5. So if anybody tells you institutions aren't buying, they are naive. All right. Moving on to the second biggest story of the day. If you have some Chainlink, put C's in chat. Let's go, Chainlink fans. If you're a Link Marine, throw C's in chat. All right. So the Chainlink, the Trust ETF, ticker GLNK, with 0% fees. That's important because a lot of people bring up go buy your ETF, but you get swacked with fees. That's 0% fees for trading. So the first Chainlink ETP in the US from Grayscale, the world's largest crypto-focused asset manager. It's nice. We're able to see easier exposure to not just Bitcoin. We started off with Bitcoin, and then also last year we got the Ethereum ETF. This year we've got a good amount. I want to say like 6 of them at this point. The third batch came with like Litecoin. I think it was Litecoin, XRP, and one other one, if I'm not mistaken. Litecoin, Hedera. And then this is like the 5th batch. So I think last week we had a couple. XRP ended up getting picked up, and now we got Chainlink. So a lot of your favorite cryptocurrencies are getting purchased. And this, I mean, honestly, I like the treasuries a little more. These are companies going out and putting hard-earned money as opposed to retail buying. But there's a big help for retail and those that don't want to learn how to use native blockchains to buy their cryptos. And somebody like me who's pretty tech savvy, a lot of times if I have to use a separate wallet like Phantom Wallet or a Sui wallet, whatever blockchain, you have to relearn some stuff. Not all blockchains run the same. So with ETFs, like if I'm on Robinhood, I have a brokerage. All I got to do is go buy the ticker. It's the same thing every time, whether it's a Bitcoin, I mean, it's a different ticker, but whether I'm buying Bitcoin, Solana, XRP, all you got to do is just click buy on these brokerages. And I don't have to learn all the nuances, which is big. So don't underestimate laziness. All right, so here's a trend that I picked up on. last time Ethereum sent for 10% intraday. So within today, I think it's probably now at like 9% from where it was 24 hours ago. But intraday, a couple hours ago, we were up 10%. And the last time that it did that, we sent for months after that. So earlier today, Tim, he broke it down on his live stream. I want to say it 2x'd in the matter of like a month or so, if I'm not mistaken. So it's nice to see. Hopefully this plays out again. If we're not in a bear market, I think Ethereum is going to be the big winner going into the next big leg, because it didn't get the first leg really under its feet, or it didn't get the wind into its sail during the first part of the bull market. So Ethereum is lagging, but this is why I'm being extra bullish on it today. So the Fusaka upgrade is almost here. So PeerDOS, which is EIP 7594, is one of the key features helping Ethereum securely scale. It unlocks up to 8x data throughput for rollups. This means cheaper blob fees and more space to grow. So I've been doing a little bit of research on Fusaka. I'm going to cover it in my next video that I drop. I'll talk about it here shortly. It's a top 5 picks for December. And the Fusaka upgrade should not be faded. And Ethereum should definitely not be faded. I love to see what a Vitalik Buterin is doing with these people. And there's another whale. I'm pretty sure I have his article up here somewhere. Right here. Perfect. All right. Found it. I am not alone. An Ethereum ICO wallet with 40,000 Ethereum, $120 million, just transferred 5 ETH to a new wallet after 10 years of dormancy. So you have people that have been there since day one. You're talking about the ICO of Ethereum finally waking up, you know, and people are freaking out. They're like, what is going on? Why is this wallet waking up? That's a lot of Ethereum. 40,000 is not a number to scoff at. And this guy went and he staked his Ethereum, which is crazy. So why would you stake Ethereum? Well, you got the Fusaka Fusaka hard fork that's happening in a couple days. So that's what I think is personally going to happen. I personally think it is happening. But you have a lot of believers in this network. This is what a network effect is. And in crypto, the 2 biggest projects with any network effect is going to be Bitcoin and Ethereum. And you can see it in the market cap. You can also see it in the conviction of their OGs. So every now and then you'll see these Bitcoin whales or these Ethereum whales. They'll wake up and they'll dump a little bit. But why have they held on to it this long? Even if they sold some, that's a lot of conviction. Most people, if you held something from $1, it went up to $40, you made a 40x. Why not sell? These people, some of these people held it from $1, they're still holding it, and it went up to 126K, they didn't sell. So not everyone is just dead or whatever and not able to sell. Some people are very convicted, and that's why I like Ethereum. So all right, so what we'll do here, I got a couple gem hunters. They asked me about a couple projects. We'll break down 3 different projects real quickly, and then we're going to go ahead and jump into another session of Q&A. So first up, we got Sui. I'm sure a lot of you guys have questions on Sui. I'll go ahead and I haven't really looked into it in a while, actually. So let's go ahead and look at the total value lock. We see this big, my screen is in reverse. All right, so we see this big pullback right here. And this, again, this is TVL. TVL is essentially the total value lock, which tells you all the application's value in the entire ecosystem. So for example, if you have an application like Uniswap or Aave that's built on Ethereum, you add up all the values of every single decentralized network, decentralized application, and then you value it in one network price. So I know that's a little word salad, but just think of TVL as probably the most important metric in all of crypto. Anyways, so Sui got pretty close to about 3 billion TVL value, and now it's sitting at 1, so that's almost a 66% pullback. So it's very understandable. People are freaking out. This is a very harsh curve, and they want to understand what is happening with their bags. So let's go ahead and look at some of the top projects. You have a Navi Protocol, a SuiLend, you have Bluefin. These are projects that I've been bullish on for a while now. Cetus kind of went in the wind. Cetus used to be one of these top projects up here. And what happened after that hack, which happened about like 8 months ago, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there, is it has not recovered. And we're starting to see other competitors like a Bluefin, which is a direct competitor. That's a DEX to Cetus, starting to steal the spotlight. So What I see in this network, at least Sui's network, is they figured out who their borrowing and lending platform is going to be, which is going to be the Sui Lend and the Navi. I mean, those two are going to be the clear winners. But their dexes is still in kind of a race on trying to figure out where or which one's going to be, I guess, the most effective. But what you can do, instead of buying the dexes like individually, you can come down here and you'll see one called Deepbook. So you'll see like projects like Jupiter, and you'll try to compare it to like a Radium on Solana. These are two completely different methods on how liquidity actually moves. One's an AMM, and which is automated market maker, and then the other one's just a decentralized exchange that's meant for just swapping, and allowing people to gain passive yield for providing their crypto as liquidity. Anyways, I would definitely recommend. I'm not providing financial advice. Deepbook is going to be your safest play in terms of what's going to win out in the Sui ecosystem, other than the actual native token itself. So I still think that Sui is going to do phenomenally well going into the next leg of the bull run. And you could see it in these trending cryptocurrencies today. You have a project that's up almost 20%, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. So it's 19% right there. There is a God candle on Sui. So again, very bullish. What most likely has happened to send it from a 3 billion TVL down to 1 billion is you're going to have, and if you look at the tokenomics, you can see it. It's a very centralized platform, very centralized L1. They've done a lot for crypto. You have a lot of projects that are running their Move programming language and things of such, and parallel blockchains, which is another thing they've essentially brought to crypto. They're starting to copy and paste this thing, but again, I always invest in the visionary. So Sui, you're going to continue to do well, and my bags are far from being sold. Next one is, I think that was two. So I forgot the second, but I know the third one was Aerodrome. So sure, a lot of you guys are holding some Aerodrome. I would say the Coinbase ecosystem's fairly difficult to gauge. Now, this price is going to be less volatile in terms of, or this ecosystem would be less volatile because of how regulated their ecosystem is and them trying not to completely rely on meme coins, which I do appreciate. They're not trying to be the next Solana, but there's some pretty successful memes that are built on the base network. I love Toshi. I think that's a solid one. But you could see their TVL is absolutely insane. Let me go ahead and move over here so you can see it. It's pushing 4.5 billion. And if you can see up here, Ethereum, Solana, Binance, Bitcoin, then Tron. And this is in terms of TVL. So the sixth biggest network in all of crypto is Base. So Coinbase, welcome to the club. You're going to drop a token next year. I'm super bearish on that. I hate when L2s drop tokens. But we're talking about Aerodrome here. So Aerodrome has been kind of like where everybody who believes in the Coinbase ecosystem has purchased, essentially, because there was no base token. So I do think that up until next year, whenever we start getting close to a base token, most likely, they haven't, given a date or whatever, but I think it's going to be next year when they do drop a base token. I would say within a couple months, I would probably offload my Aerodrome and some of my other projects that are in this ecosystem. So again, this is not financial advice. I believe heavily in the Moonwells, the Morphos, the Aerodromes, etc. But we don't know how this ecosystem is going to react whenever a native token, in my opinion, I think all these apps are going to lose a little bit of their liquidity to that token. I could be wrong. I could very much be wrong. So, and again, when I say offload, I would not offload all of it. So I'd say maybe like take 20-30% of your bags, maybe put in some dry powder with a plan to buy back lower. I don't think that's a bad idea. So those are my thoughts. Overall, if we just go right into Aerodrome itself, this application, you're still sitting at some healthy numbers. It's still a very new project. This is the very first bull market, by the way. So, and the cool part about this project is we know that Coinbase is willing to inject liquidity into this. So when you have a centralized exchange behind a decentralized network, that's how you get BNB, which is the fourth biggest crypto, maybe fifth. I don't know. Anyways, it's a top 5 crypto. You have to get it. If you can get a centralized exchange behind a decentralized network and successfully manage it, you're doing well. All right, so that was very long-winded. Let's go ahead and jump into some Q&A. I think you guys have some good questions going on here. Quick update on the poll. Is a bull market back on? Yes, full send is 17%, and nope. So 83% of you, which is a lot more than I thought it would be, are saying this is just a relief rally and we are headed lower. So that's crazy. I see a lot of seasoned chat. Victor, Alex, Angel, a lot of Chainlink holders. Daniel, RDO, wrong again. Just sold my link for profit. Wrong again. All right, we're going to have to talk after this, brother. We need to get some more link. Got to get some more link. That's not the one to sell for profit right now. Well, I mean, buy the rumor, sell the news, right? So ETF happens. It's probably going to dump. I understand where you're coming from. Aaron, got some C. Good stuff. Carl, it's only a matter of time before Apple and Disney announce they're buying Bitcoin, and boom, God candle. That's interesting. Why would you say Apple and Disney? And I've been pretty vocal on major institutions getting into crypto because it's not happening yet. Tesla is the only company in the world in the top 250 that own any Bitcoin. And then that's why I don't think it's the institutional cycle yet. I think once the treasuries of major companies like an Apple or a Disney start buying, then yes, I definitely think that's whenever the God candles come in. But I think that's going to be more of a 2028, 2029 type deal. And right now the regulation's getting set. Stable coins, first of all, you need stable coins before all this happens, because without liquidity, you can't make price pump. So right now we got the Genius Act. We have the Fit 21 Genius Act. We have, I forgot what the other law was, or framework. Anyways, we have regulation being set, and we also got the crypto task force. ETFs are being adopted, and over time the liquidity is here for the major institutions to finally give us the green light. So hello, first time here. If you learned one thing from this cycle, what would that be? Well, welcome, Beebs. I appreciate you. Let this answer be your reason to go ahead and subscribe. If this is a good answer, you got to subscribe. That's it. So his question is, first time, if you learned one thing this cycle, what would it be? And I'm going to give this one a little thought because I don't want to lead you astray. Yeah, so earlier I mentioned that you want to find people that are smarter than you in specific areas. So for example, like Tim's very good with the charts. He's another guy that I work with. We have myself, who's very good at fundamentals, like deep dives and stuff. And you want to find about 7 to 10 different people, and that's it. Do not get crazy with it. You need to have people that you could find yourself in. So relatability is a must. And if they're relatable, they're likable, and they're listening toable. I mean, I made that word up, but that's how you get ahead in the space. So surround yourself with bright ideas and people that are smart, and you will do well in this space. And just remember, none of what we say is financial advice, and we all make mistakes. So if I tell you something and you go off and do it, and then, you get burnt from it, it's, your lesson to pay off. Unfortunately, that's how we all learn. And that's what we call cost of education. So I have a video that's pinned in my YouTube channel. You could probably watch it after this, but it explains how I made $130K into $1.3 million in 6 months, less than 6 months, but actually. So a 10X from 6 to 7 figures. And then I lost $700K in 3 weeks. So like immediately after that, going into May of 2021. So what I do on this channel is I speak from experience, and I try to help people get to where I've gotten, but also prevent themselves from making the same mistakes that I made. So definitely, if this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe. What do you have to lose? It's free. All right, now we got crypto mindset. So welcome, brother. Yesterday I was on his channel, and I want to thank you again for allowing me to come on your channel, brother. I'm starting to guest. So I have static videos. I drop 2 of those every week, usually Wednesday and Friday. I have live streams Tuesday and Thursday. And then now Crux is on other channels. So I've been on TradeFly's channel. I've been on a couple others. And yesterday I was on Crypto Mindset's channel. So if you guys see him, you'll see him in chat right now. Go subscribe to his channel. He's an awesome dude. He's putting out good content. And then check out our live stream from yesterday. It's filled. He challenged me on a lot of stuff, by the way. he was throwing me curveballs, and that's what I appreciate, because people are too scared to talk about stuff in crypto. And I'm going to deliver the alpha, and I'm going to be as honest as I can be without tiptoeing, if that makes sense. So, if I lose a subscriber here or there because I offend somebody for something I said, so be it. But I think for the most part, I'm building a awesome platform here, and I can see it in the numbers, as this is my first year, and we're pushing, getting pretty close to that 5K marker by the end of this year. So, all right, we got, would not sell link at $13 to Soccer World. I'm not selling my link at all. Welcome Beef, says Angel. Random reminder, smash that like, please, says Angel. Thank you, Angel. Mike. Dropping that Kita vid this week. So, Mike, I'm not dropping Kita this week because I chose to do Kaspa. And I got my 3 next videos. It's so difficult for me to make these videos because I want to put out all of this content for you guys. But here's the dilemma. It has to be very good content that I've done my due diligence on, because I'm not going to put anything out there that I have not looked into. So that's 1. And then 2 is I only have so much I can do per week. So I try to choose 2 topics per week that is going to be market moving and deliver that. So my next 3 videos are going to be top 5 for December. So every single month, at least the past 7 months, I've dropped a top 5 for this month type video. And it talks about like the Fusaka upgrade, for example. It's going to be Ethereum. That drops in a couple of days. Actually, I think it drops in like 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. But any of the upgrades that are happening in December, I talk about them there. Next, I got the Kaspa video. So Kaspa, I dropped a video 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, and it almost hit 5,000 views, which is absolutely crazy for the size of my channel. So everybody loves Kaspa. That's why it's green today. We love some Kaspa here. And then the third video is not so much a FUD video, but it is what is going on with MicroStrategies. So as we go into a bear market, I can tell you this from experience, everyone's going to be like, so MicroStrategy, when do they get liquidated? And this could be FUD over and over and over and over. So just remember, as we go into a bear market, which I'm still 60% certain, by the way, mid-October, I released a video saying I'm 60% certain we're going down to 40K. And there's a lot of data to support this. So called that out. And so far, it's looking like a pretty solid call. And again, I stay open-minded. I'm still only about 60%. I haven't upped it or at all. But that's something to consider, as you need to prepare yourself for these actions. So Wrong Again says, where's the alpha? It's hard to say right now. All right, we got always wondered what dog breed Pups Tux. Yeah, so Pup Tux, he is my pup. He was born last year, so he's about a year and some change. I think a year and 2 months, if I'm not mistaken. And he is a Maltese Border Collie mix. If you've seen any of my static videos, I always have a part after the intro that says smash that like for Pup Tux, and then I throw something funny in there. And I don't know, I think I'm gonna continue it because, you know, it's my dog. So what do I have to lose? It's your best friend. So always okay. And Alexander, hey Crux, I'm thinking about staking all my Tau to root. Thoughts? Also, maybe make a video on Tau subnets. Good question, Alexander. So I covered, what was this, in my October top 5 videos. I talk about the root grade upgrade for Tau, which in my opinion is by far the best AI crypto out there. It has subnets that's able to compete with anything out there. So your AI agents and virtuals, Tau can do that. Your GPU lending platform from a render, Tau can do that. So Tau, the subnets are undisputably the best. And also what I appreciate about it is expensive to run a subnet. So nobody's going to go out there and just clog this network up. If you believe in the network and you have your money ready, then go ahead and open it up a subnet. And that's what I appreciate so much about Tau. In terms of staking it, I think staking crypto is fundamentally the best thing you can do because it helps decentralize the network. So what happens with proof of stake networks is people buy their crypto, they use it for governing rights by staking it, and then what this does is it alleviates the ability for people to do 51% attacks. So if anybody has 51% of the total supply of a proof of stake cryptocurrency, they can essentially eradicate it and send it to zero, because double spending allows you to send your money, they receive it, and then pull it back. And they also get to keep it. So it's like you doubled. You gave it to somebody and you also pulled it back and you kept it. So it's like you just doubled your money. And that by far is the worst thing that can happen in any blockchain. So yeah, go ahead and stake. You want to promote decentralization. That one on Thanksgiving was epic. Yeah, thank you, Angie. So I barely got any views on that one. I didn't really expect it to go viral or anything, but what I did is I compared different cryptocurrencies with different Thanksgiving dishes. Did Chainlink? Yeah, Chainlink was the gravy, for example. Bitcoin was the turkey, and then I give the example why. So everybody likes the turkey. It's the staple of Thanksgiving. You should be holding some Bitcoin. Gravy, gravy goes good on every dish. If you turn in terms of interoperability, there is no more interoperable crypto than an Ethereum and a Chainlink. So that's why I made Chainlink anyways. If you like that, you think it's fun, I did about 10 different cryptos. Check it out after this. Hopefully we can get those views up. I think it's only like 300 views. Pretty sad, but all right. Always love the top videos he makes, says Aaron. Yeah, thank you. I bet you make a lot of videos on Tau subnets. You get a lot of views. So that's something that I've definitely had a lot of questions on. Like, so the Kaspa, first of all, the Kaspa community loves me. I could drop Kaspa content and completely send this channel, subscriber wise, views wise, to the moon. I don't do that because I want to give all these projects a fair shot. If all I do is pump out Kaspa content, I don't get to talk about the Chainlink ETF that just dropped today. I don't get to talk about Vanguard. I don't get to talk about, I don't know, some halving event. Actually, Tau's about to have a halving event in a couple of weeks, which follows the same emissions from Bitcoin. So I don't want to take away from the beauty of blockchain. And Crux of Crypto is here for crypto. I'm not here for any specific project. Now, there's other projects that I like more than all the others. Again, quick little plug to Kaspa. I love Kaspa. This is a crypto channel and I want it to be that. So I don't want to go ahead and Maxiism into Tau or something similar. All right, so let's read like a couple more and we'll jump into the next segment of news. Did you guys find who made the Tim coin scam? All right. I think this is a fair time to talk about this. Our Discord server was not hacked or anything, but somebody was able to hack one of our staff members. They went into our Discord and they created a Tim token, and then they plugged the address. So as far as I'm concerned, nobody bought the token or anything. Within a couple minutes, we actually found the message, we deleted it, and then we were on it. So by the end of that day, all permissions were revoked, and we were able to, we banned the guy, this, that, the third, and all the permissions were restored. So we did not find the guy, but yeah, this would be an awesome time to talk about security. So, and I'll tell you this, if you don't have two-factor authentication on most of your important stuff, like your Discord or your Gmail, maybe your Whop account, anything that's important to you, put a 2FA on there. There's nothing that beats that. Biometrics is another good one. And then, yeah, so definitely don't click on spammy links. In this case, one of our staff members, he clicked on a link and he got hit. So, all right. Creative, you're good, Crux. We all love your content. Thank you, Angel. Definitely love your support. LMAO, that Thanksgiving one, my wife was like, WTF, are you watching? Hey, so of all the videos, that was the most abstract one I've ever done. And I don't know. I probably won't do another, only because like, I would like if it would have got at least 1,000 views, sure. I put a lot of effort into that. I thought it was pretty funny. But really the OGs of the community, you guys enjoy it. So I made that one for y'all. All right. So I see a good amount more comments, but I need to jump into the news because we're already 45 minutes and I feel like I didn't cover anything yet. All right. Talk about Kaspa. we are about to get listed on Huobi, or actually HTX, my bad. So HTX is a top 5 crypto exchange out there. So what happened is KII, if I'm not mistaken, no, KEF. So KEF is a foundation that started, let me make sure y'all understand, it started well after Kaspa was established, because foundations centralize projects. So a lot of people don't think foundations should exist within Bitcoin or Kaspa, but foundations also, there's ways you can run it to where it's not centralized. So anyways, this Kaspa Foundation was able to secure some funds and then pay out the listing fee for HTX again, which is a top 5 crypto exchange in total trading volume. So big story for the day here with this Kaspa holders. We have a project that is sitting, you know, a little bit over $1 billion market cap. And I think that one day, again, I know it sounds crazy, it's going to be in the tens, hundreds, and even higher. So, you know, don't shoot the messenger, but I like what I see with Kaspa. And if you don't understand what this project is, I'm going to drop another video again, probably Friday this week, maybe Monday next week latest. So super excited on that one. This one, I haven't even really fully understood what I'm going to talk about. I think I'll talk definitely about Igra Labs and their smart contracts. I'll talk a little bit about VProgs and a couple other things. So, all right. If you have some Kaspa, throw K's in chat. Kaspa, K's in chat. Next up, we got some Aster. I think Aster is a top 3 asymmetric bet in all of crypto. So why am I so bullish on Aster? First of all, it has some of the strongest tokenomics that I've seen. And what they're doing is they're running these sessions called seasons. And within seasons, they figure out, how do I take out liquidity from my ecosystem, i.e. burning tokens, buying them back, possibly airdropping stuff, and then rewarding the community for their activity. So Aster, very bullish overall in this project. I also dropped a Aster versus Hyperliquid one-on-one. And Aster, spoiler, Aster won. Aster took the cake, and it's because the market cap is 4 times smaller, but the trading volume, the fees generated, and almost every other metric is right even. So you have Hyperliquid, you have Aster, and you have a new one called Lighter. These are 3 perp dexes that have absolutely emerged, and they have disrupted everything we know about crypto, because you used to go to just Uniswap and just swap your crypto. You used to go on some centralized exchange and throw liquidity in there for some, you know, leverage trading. These things allow you to do everything, and they are basically crypto on steroids. So I like Aster. It's a very good asymmetric bet, and it was only out since like September, if I'm not mistaken, maybe October of this year. So you'd be buying it within its first couple months, and their buybacks are going to send this thing, I'm telling you. All right. So I think this is a fairly big story. I don't talk too much on this channel about macroeconomic news, but this is a market mover here. Trump announces the Fed chair decision is down to 1 final candidate. So also, Trump recently announced that he has somebody in mind on who he's going to replace him with. So if you know anything about Jerome Powell and his positioning, he's been positioning himself as going to be replaced. And I think that's fair enough. I think Kalshi has 83% at some select person. I forgot what his name is. But that's basically what this is going to do. It's going to print money. And there's a lot of buy the rumor, sell the news type events in crypto. So for example, like a Bitcoin halving. We all know every 210,000 blocks, Bitcoin halves, which takes roughly about 3 years and about 10 to 11 months. Usually people wait until that period, and then right before they sell. This is called a buy the rumor, sell the news. Something like this is not a buy the rumor, sell the news. This happens very rarely, and it's like a unicorn. So if you know anything about the Gary Gensler pump last year, all the ISO 2022 compliant cryptos in October to November of last year in a 30-day span, XRP did like a 7x, HBAR did a 9x, and you had XLM, Cardano, all the ISO 2022 compliant cryptos sent. And I think this is going to be that on a completely different scale the moment that Jerome Powell exits his chair. So definitely going to be paying attention. If you want to stay up on that story, make sure you subscribe to this channel. All right. So this was my December top 5 video that's dropping this week. I already told you the Fusaka upgrade. I'll explain that a little bit here. And I'm not going to tell you any of the other four. There's a gem in there. I'll tell you this. I have never mentioned the gem once on this channel. So I'm giving you guys the goods. I'm giving you the alpha. Make sure you watch these top 5 videos because they're not only funny, they're actually pretty solid content. And then the big story everybody wants to hear, and honestly, I didn't know what I was going to do for my next video after my Kaspa video, by the way. So this one will probably drop late next week. This is not to spread FUD. You know, this is a pretty cool looking thumbnail, the hard truth. This is a little clickbaity. It's to get you in there and figure out what is Crux talking about. Because right now, I don't know what I'm talking about. I have not done the due diligence. But remember, I don't release any of these videos without doing my complete due diligence. And what I'm going to look into is what happened. Like, what are all these tickers? First off, you have like MSTX, you have MSTR, you have this, you have that. What's going on with this? I have to understand the business model before I make this video. So I think, you know, going into the next bear market, the #1 piece of FUD that everyone's going to be spelling, I promise you, is going to be the collapse of MicroStrategy. And you already have people like Peter Schiff who are talking negatively about Michael Saylor. It gets pretty annoying. But if I can get ahead of it, before we get to maybe like 70K, 60K, 50K, people are going to be screaming off the top of the rooftops if we go down to a 40K Bitcoin about MSTR. So right now, you know, Bitcoin's doing good. It's at 90K. You know, if I can get you the information way ahead of time, it'll allow you to prepare. So that's my thought process behind that one. And another cool thing that's happening right now is our Black Friday deal. So quick little shill. As you can see, we have 50% off any of our annual plans, and then we have 33% off the first 3 months. So what are the Whop memberships? So we have 3 different tiers. We have the Essentials, we have the Academy, and then we have the Gem Hunters. The Essentials more or less is a trading group with like trade alerts and stuff like that. So if you want to get in, you want to get out very quickly, you know, do some leverage and make some money, that's what the Essentials package offers. The Academy is a video series from myself, Tim, and Taylor, or T-Shroom rather. And what we do is I teach you how to build that perfect portfolio, essentially with 13 videos going from how to read a white paper or how to analyze a project, you know, what is a team, how do I analyze a team, tokenomics, these things, all the way up to building your perfect portfolio. T-Shroom, he's telling you about how to do research on the macroeconomics. And then lastly, Tim is teaching you how to trade. And we put together that academy for you guys. And then lastly, we have the Gem Hunters, which is ran by me. I am somewhat of a degen in crypto. And yeah, so at one point, half the projects that were in the Gem Hunters, up until like October, if I'm not mistaken, were 2x within 48 hours. And that was like 7 out of like 16, if I'm not mistaken. 7 out of 16 calls, 2x in under 48 hours. So what I've been waiting for on the Gem Hunters, and shout out all the Gem Hunters that are here, is we got to return to bullish conditions before we could really continue that run. So it kind of sucks. What I don't want to do is tell you to run out and buy Monad. You know, Monad just launched. Everybody's going to be all over this thing, but we're in a bear, well, possibly a bear market. So I don't want to see you guys buy the top and then just write it down. So I'm waiting on a confirmation of a bullish trend, and then we're going to be up and to the races again. So shout out all the Gem Hunters here. And here's a pretty cool snapshot that happened a couple days ago. So you have keep the entries coming. This is one of the people in our VIP trading group. I just happened to get the last alert for Bitcoin while I was walking the dogs, came in, checked the chart, and followed your lead. I've never made $10,000 in 10 minutes before. Yeah, the subscription just paid for itself. Thank you for the VIP trading group. So we get a quite amount of good stories, you know, from our VIP trading group. This is not one of one. I see this fairly often, actually. So if you take the risk after you've done your due diligence and educated yourself, there's ways that you can get ahead of market conditions. And we call this typically technical TA, so technical analysis, where you can find trends, and with X amount of probability, you can figure if it's going to go up or down, and then you can short depending on the leverage of how certain you are. And me personally, I don't do very much leverage trading. I'm more of an investor. but there's people in our community that love to do it. And yeah, so shout out all of you guys that are absolutely crushing it out there. Let's go ahead and wrap up this stream with some last segment of Q&As. If you guys have any questions after that. All right. I still see about 60 of you in here. Shout out all 60 of you. Thank you guys for allowing me to do what I do and keep these lights on. This channel's blowing up and we're doing it. We are doing it. This is, by the way, this is our first bull market. I mean, Tim and Shroom, this is technically their second, but this is my first one. And we just got Tim's channel to over 60K subscribers. And then this one will be much higher very soon. So, all right. Whenever I use StreamYard, I always have to increase my mic volume to 98% from 50 due to StreamYard. Okay, so hopefully my mic isn't doing too bad, TI. Let me know. Let me know. Mic volume is a little low. Okay. Maybe I move a little lower. So here we are. You guys let me know what my mic volume's like. All right. That was amazing. Chainlink was the gravy. Yeah. Let's talk about the Thanksgiving video. Got a good bag of Aster. Yeah, Daniel, I think we're going to win on that one. Aster, I'm super convicted in that. I see a lot of K's in chat. Shout out the Kaspa army out there. Shout out Angie and Carl. The crypto community will throw a party when Powell leaves the Fed. I agree. That is no buy the rumor, sell the news event. That is a buy crypto before it happens. And then, I mean, if you want to take profits after, fine. But just like I said, it took a month for XRP to do like a 7x from like, I think it went from like 50 cents to like $3 in a month. So I would not sell my crypto right away. I would allow it at least a month. I'm back. L and K, of course. MP, let's get it. Crypto J45. MSTR will be the reason we go to 40K, in my opinion, or CZ again. I could tell you've been in a bear market, Crypto J45, because you know what you're talking about. But just like you saw my video, I'm going to deep dive it because I want to dispel all the FUD, and I think that's super important. People need to be educated before we go into this. Last bear market, if you were around then, we went down to 15.5. It cost about $22,000 at that time to mine a Bitcoin on average. So we've seen Bitcoin miners mine at a loss to keep the network decentralized and up. That's good. But MSTR, I want to say their average price of Bitcoin on their, before they got liquidated, was close to like $4,500. So there's this huge story of everyone saying we're going down to 4K to get MSTR liquidated. And if you don't know who MSTR is, they are the #1 institution in the world that owns crypto. So actually right hot on its heels is the United States government. So the MSTR, I think they own like maybe 650,000 Bitcoin, which is an insane amount. You have the United States government after 2 massive events that happened this year. You have a pig butchering scam that happened about 2 months ago. And then you had China. So some guy from China gave us, well, we were able to seize 130,000 Bitcoin from this individual. So the modern day space race I've been talking about for years at this point, to me, is done. Bitcoin, or the United States, we have won this thing because not only did we take that Bitcoin from China, which was our biggest competitor, we are completely in the lead by at least like a 7x at this point. I don't think China even has 100K anymore. And then we are sitting at, I want to say close to 500K. So good to see Bitcoin is in our hands as the most powerful nation. So, all right. I got it through Black Friday deal. I got my fee back today. It's worth it. Yeah, appreciate it, MP. And thank you again for supporting. You were here before I was even here. So I uploaded the video. You were already in the comments talking about you're going to be listening. So I appreciate your support, brother. Much love. And yeah, I also use in Discord. So Discord, there's a ton of value in that thing. Make sure you give it a chance. Angel, click the like, please. Wrong again? It's good. And then MP, what's the effect of the ETH upgrade to Uniswap, if any? Good question, MP. So the Fusaka upgrade, this is mainly an efficiency upgrade, more towards scaling. So within, but to be fair, it does also affect gas prices through Blob. So Blob is like the amount of transactions that happen within a specific, specific block. And this will, yeah, so it'll definitely be affected in terms of like the trading fee possibly, but I wouldn't say it's going to be an overall like massive input on like Uniswap or an Aave or any other ERC20 tokens or decentralized applications. I think this is more a leg up for the L2s, and we know that fragmentation has to be solved on Ethereum, or Ethereum's going to eat itself alive. And we don't want that. We want Ethereum to survive. We just don't want all these L2s to keep sapping its liquidity from it. So I'm very bullish on the Fusaka upgrade for many reasons. Wrong again. MSTR average price is 74K. Dang, 74K. I didn't even know that. That's high. That's a lot higher than I thought it was. But also, MSTR has been way down on their average bags. Last bear market, MSTR, I think their average was like, what, 50K? There was actually a meme going around because they bought the peak of every single, like, we would pump, MSTR would buy, and then everything dumps. They would buy the peak of every pump last bull market. Anyways, they went down from maybe like a 50K or so in 2021 average cost all the way down to 15.5. So they were way down on their bags, but guess what? MSTR did not sell. And those that have diamond hands in crypto, if as long as they're holding the right projects, make it out unscathed. So very few people, last bull market, there was this saying, if you hold Bitcoin for 4 years, you will make money. You can no longer say that because technically we had a 4-year period where you were slightly down for a couple months. But that's basically still true. If you hold Bitcoin for 4 years, you will make money. There's other cryptos, if you hold for 4 years, you can make money. But we're starting to really weed out what's going to work. And we're also going to have to weed out this 4-year cycle because this thing has to be broke. It has to be broke. First of all, Bitcoin is on a clock towards adoption. It halves every 4 years. So if the price doesn't double every 4 years, guess what? The network collapses. So what happens is every 4 years, you have 3 years of run up, 1 year of pullback. You have bull markets, you have bearish periods. We can't have that. We have to have something like gold that, depending on the macro conditions, goes up and right over time. So depending on like the risk status of kind of the conditions that are set. So that's what we're waiting on. Uni is way underpriced. I agree. Wrong again. And for those that have watched my Uniswap versus Aave video, I dropped that one like last week maybe. Strongly encourage you guys to watch it. Spoiler, Uni took the dub. I didn't expect that one either, by the way, because Aave is the #1 in all of crypto decentralized application in terms of TVL. So Aave has like $30 billion in TVL. They are what crypto was created for, borrowing and lending. I love it. But Uniswap, don't sleep on this one. You have the most interoperable DEX in all of crypto. If you look at the trading volume, they're popping off. They're going to be able to compete with the perp DEXs. Unichain dropped. A ton of bullishness is happening with Uni. But also, what really separated it was the tokenomics and the team. And I broke both of those down in that video. So make sure you go check it out and always study. Don't always just pay attention to what Crux is saying. I do my due diligence clearly. But you have your own due diligence to do too. So don't rely on just us people that do and just run out and, oh, Crux is wearing a Chainlink hat, go buy Chainlink. Always do your own due diligence. So if you've never read a white paper, I would strongly encourage you to start with the Bitcoin one. It is very fascinating. All right. MSTR buys whenever they raise money, according to the CEO. Yeah, so Carl, you got to define what is raising money. And also, I want to see Michael Saylor respond to the claims that Peter Schiff are making. Because Peter Schiff has over 1 million followers on Twitter. So if he's calling you out, and back in 2021, Michael Saylor used to respond to Peter Schiff's arguments. But he's kind of gone ghost lately, and Peter Schiff is making some pretty solid arguments, and he is not saying a word. So that's why I decided to do this video. Is I need to figure out what is going on with MSTR. Plume is underpriced, and Kita I hold both Plume and Kita. Very bullish on both. Real world assets with Plume. Let's quickly check Plume's. Yeah, let's go ahead and quickly check Plume's TVL, which should be on the front page of their white paper, or their website rather. And then we will go ahead and wrap this thing up. So come here, let's go to their plume.org is the website. Always go through like CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap to go to this like websites and stuff. Do not Google stuff because you will click a scammy link and you will get smoked. So 300, wow. So this TVL actually went down. I'm pretty sure at one point, let's check the chain stats. I'm pretty sure they were like 400 mil in TVL at one point. But yeah, this is how I value real world asset picks mainly. There's not an easy chart to read. No, I mean, this is, I guess they are at their all-time high. No, these are the holders, my bad. Stablecoin holders, stablecoin TVL, daily transactions. Yeah, so Dune, this is like an analyst's dream. I use Dune quite a bit. Check out this website if you're ever like feeling nerdy or whatever. But overall, I think this is still a hold. Now remember, if you have 350 mil TVL and your project's only worth like 65 mil, I get it. It's very bearish. People aren't really wanting to, you know, run and go buy this thing right now. But bear markets and bearish periods are when legends are made. So if you're able to buy the fear, and if it's down 86%, 85%, your project was literally talking to Trump's administration team whenever we had the crypto White House event. So, you know, depending on risk to reward, you can have exposure to some of these altcoins. Just don't get crazy with it. So if Plume is like 5% of your portfolio, that's way too much. Always remember, like, some of these altcoins, most of these altcoins are going to go to zero. So you want to buy stuff that stuff is built on. Meme coins, whatever, treat those a little different. But yeah, so if you learned anything, make sure to like, subscribe. I'll go ahead and update the timestamps right after this so you guys can go back and check anything that you may have missed if you're just now tuning in. But yeah, I think this is a great opportunity to buy some Chainlink because I think we're headed to new heights. You guys